Yeah. So that was, you answered the question. The one thing is firmly entrenched, the other one is still not ratified. And
that non-ratification is within the lift regulations. So the answer really should be, as engineers, you guys should say, well, I don't really care what the lift regulations say from that point of view. I want it on the basis of 9999, or I think the old version was 5588. Because both of them will have it in as 20 minutes, comfortably, without any issue, secondary supply.
And the other thing is more about the batteries. We're in the age of lithium-ion batteries and second-hand lithium-ion batteries coming out of cars, etc.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll be changing from lead acid to lithium-ion in the future?
Well, I'm at the Augsburg Lift Exhibition in a week or so's time, and I'll be with Selly, we're our supplier and manufacturer, and I've been trying to push them, and this is the problem with the Italians, you've always got to keep pushing them, and I've been pushing them to go to lithium-ion because I know, as I've said, we can get 150 journeys out of that lift, empty car. So if any of you want to come to Nottingham with literally 5 minutes off junction 25, I'll put it on test and run it up and down, you can see it. So I know we can do about an hour and a half, worst case scenario. When we put a balanced load in, so we've got no difference between the counterweight and the lift car, we had over 300 journeys. We were running for over 3 hours, constant. And that's on standard lead acids. So I know if we went to lithium ion, we could get that very close to being able to say this is firefighting compliant. But I'm not quite brave enough yet to stand there and say, yeah, we'll go for it. But I think, yes, if we get lithium ion, I'm sure that I could get us there on 2 hours.
On the interesting point you raised before about quoting standards on specifications, which is obviously a very easy one to do if you're not in the business. And it just illustrates there that you can come and catch a cold because you can say via that standard, but the standard's not written tightly enough, which no, lots of them are, lots of them are normative and some informative references. So that's where you're often better off putting the actual exactly what you want.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, a great example. You guys complain that we put things on the spec. Yeah, we have been because we want to.
Well, a great example is we talked about it with the guys at Worcester a few weeks ago, where the lift consultant, Mottram Associates, Worcester said we just want MV's EcoCell, no questions about it. But they went through that process, and Mottram's come back and said, oh well, where's the indication that shows whether we're on primary power or secondary supply? I went, well, if the primary power's off, you're on emergency lights in your lift car. Yeah, but we need an indication. I said, well, that's a pretty good bloody indication to me. You've just lost 3 lights. You know, I said, if the primary power supply is still running,
that's like normal.
your primary power supply is still there, you've got all your lights. If it isn't,
why you don't put an LED on the
because it's a pain in the arse to get a bloody LED back down to where you need it to be. It's easy to just say, no, the lights are on, the lights are off, the lights are off, it's on standby.
Just one question for me, Jason.
Yep.
I read an article about Thyssen Krupp's ropeless maglev.
Yeah, it goes sideways, up, down, spins round, does all sorts
on that.
Yeah, we won't be doing one.
no market whatsoever.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there'll be a market for it, Josh, somewhere around the world. Some,
minuscule percentage.
Yeah, absolutely. And they'll sell it for next to, well, it'll cost millions, but it will cost them even more money to have done it. But they'll just want the kudos of it at the end of the
USP.
day. Yeah, absolutely. It's about saying we've got something. Our balls are bigger than yours.
Sounds a bit like the one at the motorless lift. That was USP. Probably came out one of the majors. Motorless lift. Don't do a motor room. We've built the motor room already, and it's like how successful that's been. That lift will take off. They do a double deck one that Thyssen pioneered, the 2-deck lift, and that's been sold around in various places. It will happen.
It will get there. But the application's only going to be massive new build. And it's only going to be somewhere where money is no object.
Well, they refer to it as the Wonka basis, don't they?
Yeah. Well, it does go sideways. So. But for me, just to bring you mentioned the machine roomless lift. 1995 was the first time I got involved in lifts, and that was when Connie brought the machine roomless lift out. And all I'll say to you guys is you saw me put in 8180 up as the very end on the list of regulations which are safety on existing lifts. Yeah. For me, that was a retrograde step in the lift industry. We went from machine rooms where we could have safe, trained, competent people working to putting stuff where we've got control panels on the top of landings, we've got people walking past us. How can that be safer? But because the big boys control this industry, that's what we've got. For me, I'm expecting a raft of regulation change to come in shortly, and it's only going to cost the building owners.
BN8180 doesn't actually go back to the whole history of lifts, because you've still got things there in period properties. So they're not up to the modern standards state they are for people to work on for safe systems.
Yeah.
Safe systems are working in modern world, so it's got a place.
Well, there are more alternatives, 7255, the safe working on lifts, which a lot of big manufacturers don't use, unfortunately. It's already code of practice, it's a British standard code of practice, and that actually does cover all the safety aspects for the engineers working on top of lift carts, alcohol control, lighting and other aspects. But so there's a mechanism there already to do making working on lifts safer. As you point out, a lot of these safety regulations are for the engineers, ones actually on top of the lift car and the pits.
Absolutely.
Joe public isn't any safer. It might be a little bit on 80, but
It's to do a duty of care for the person operating the installation to make it safe for everyone, including the passengers as well as the people working on it.
what 80 does, they say most of the changes have been towards the actual engineer safety, because they're the ones who've been killed. They're still killing maybe too many people in the lift industry. Very few fatal accidents of passengers in lifts. You know, the number of engineers, unfortunately, is still high.
The biggest incident for passengers is actually the transition between getting off the landing into a lift car. That's all the damage.
Well, that recent one in Spain was obviously where the lift went up as they were bringing that lady out of the lift, and that's where an amendment recently, the A1 amendment, was about the ascending safety devices and so on. So the governor locks, so that wouldn't have happened on a modern lift.
Uncontrolled movement.
Yeah, so the uncontrolled movement gets picked up. But there are the regulation. EN81 is the law of the land. 7255 as a British standard wasn't the law of the land, but lots of people would say, well, and I actually had, when I was at Land Securities Trillium, we had an insurance company write to us and refuse to go onto our lifts unless they had the enhanced car top control, which was 7255. So I noted back to them, that's fine, we'll no problem in terminating your contract at all. Our lifts are all fully compliant to the law of the land, which wasn't the enhanced car top control. So it'd be like saying a 3-point seat belt in a car is not acceptable anymore unless it's you've got to be a rally horse. No, 3-point seat belt was acceptable. So
there are some other subtle differences on the 7255. The horizontal car the car top control was one example.
Yep.
But yeah, so there are ways of doing it. The N81-80 is really geared at modernising the whole lift, because you've got a whole bunch of stuff there which one's doing, and it creates a standard for doing that. But in actual fact, reality, 7255 is a health and safety measure which makes the operation of lifts safer, as we should apply to all lifts.
But equally, as an industry, don't we supposedly employ trained, competent individuals to be working in their environment? So for me, risk is about an assessment. If I'm in a machine room with only one lift, and I want to go up where the traction sheave is, that's my assessment. If I'm in a machine room that's got 2 lifts, and I'm working on one, and the other one's in automatic mode, and I don't know what's going to be doing, and it's unguarded, that's definitely a risk. Yeah. So it's about you putting yourself in.
That's back to 8180 though, unguarded.
It's back to all sorts of things. It's back to pure and everything else.
Can I ask a quick question about your batteries?
Yep.
Whereabouts are they in the installation?
They're above the top floor header. We can put them anywhere, but we tend to put them by the top floor header, because with all this machinery and all this stuff now, that's where everything is. It's all in the top of the lift shaft. So yeah, just sits above the top header.
Because being lead acid and being charged, obviously they're going to give off
Heat.
hazardous fume as well.
Well, we haven't come across. We give off plenty of heat at times. I can certainly say that. Well, that's where they are.
Most of your batteries which you'll be using are pretty good that way, aren't they?
Okay.
Sounds like there's plenty more discussions that we can have, but no doubt, Jason, you'd be happy to hang around.
I'm happy
have
to
a
hang
few more
around.
discussions.
Yeah, no problem at all.
For anybody that hasn't already, there's a selection of literature and contact details and business cards, and I'm sure that we can carry on for quite a long while talking about such an emotive subject.
As a gamekeeper team.